The driver's seat is presented by Ray Reese Volkswagen and Portland's Hyundai, Portland's #1 VW dealer, and Portland's newest Hyundai dealer. Now let's climb into the driver's seat on Miles Around Television.
In our driver's seat is the 2008 Land Rover LR3. Great piece of British engineering, a vehicle that you can get dressed up in and use for a night out, or you can take and use it on the farm in the daytime. This vehicle will get you out of mud, ice and snow. There's a reason the British royal family use them, and there's a reason it's one of the best 4x4s on the market.
Well, it's pretty easy to spot Nick's love for the LR3 and the Land Rover brand as a whole. I mean, come on, he's from England. Now, we're going to take a look inside. It does have a luxurious interior with some really great attributes like heated leather seats and a heated windshield that truly does get the vehicle defrosted when you want it to. We'll take a look at the inside. More importantly, we're going to take a look at the terrain response system. And right now, we're going to take a look under the hood.
Underneath the hood of the 2008 Land Rover LR3, you'll find an all-aluminum block engine, a 90-degree V8, and this engine is, although important to the vehicle, I'm going to use a Denicism here, it's not so much about the engine, but what puts the power on the ground.
Well, I think I just got made fun of, but you know what? There's a lot to talk about, more so than even the time we have on the show. Let's get down to a couple things that are very important when it comes to the mechanics of the vehicle. One is the chassis. It actually has frame rails plus an aluminum chassis that sets together, so it has the best of both worlds. It has that rigid frame for good off-road capabilities and not a bunch of twisting in the chassis, as well as that quiet ride that comes along with these sort of sedan-based materials. Now, the other thing, it has independent suspension front and rear, but more importantly, I'll get to in a second, is the active terrain monitoring system. The Land Rover is something that is never utilized for its true use. These things you see in the upper crust neighborhoods, and like Nick said, the royal family drives them. My wonder is, are they really used for all their potential? You're looking at one of the most capable sport utilities ever to grace the planet. The problem is, they're usually at the mall. All right, well, I'm going to take away my little barb about these things sitting at the mall and not being used the way they were intended and engineered to be used. This is a true off-road capable vehicle. You know, a lot of the vehicle's attributes lie in the terrain monitoring system. It has 5 different settings: mud, sand, gravel, incline. It also has a hill descent control system that is above and beyond any other sport utility in the market. It has a tremendous amount of attributes that come to this big alphabet soup of acronyms. You know, ESP and terrain response, all these little things that come up to one simple thing: what it means to you, the consumer. It gives it the best of both worlds. You can lower the ride height and get great quality ride when you're on the freeway, much like it's doing right now, or you can jack the vehicle up and go where most sport utilities can't, and that's truly off-road.
On the exterior of the 2008 Land Rover LR3, you'll see the quartz twin pocket halogen headlights. Also, the fog lights were actually embedded in the bumper. They have things like light washers and also parking sensors. But this vehicle overall is a lot more square than when the LR3 first came out. It was called the Discovery 1, and then we had the Discovery 2. And it's really been updated for 2008. Looks very modern. And if you look at SUVs across the board, you'll see a lot of attributes stolen, taken, borrowed from the Land Rover LR3.
One of the things I think Nick just touched on is definitely one of the attributes to the LR3. You take some of those basic designs from the Discovery and Discovery 2, which is a stepped roof. It has that signature that definitely makes it a Land Rover. The other thing that's much like a museum in some ways is these drab plate sides. You know, it has a nice little body line right here, and it goes through the hood, but really it's kind of a flat piece of metal that gives this car kind of a, I don't know, ambiguous look. It doesn't have any real shape to it, but yet it's still distinct, and I think that's an attribute to the LR3. Now, one of the things I like is the fact that they use this black matte finish on this and up over the doors. It really separates the look of the vehicle and gives it some signature. Again, one of those attributes of the car, and I like the way that my arm just sits up here, and well, it makes it comfortable and a nice segue to the interior.
Taking a look at the interior of the 2008 Land Rover LR3, there's a multitude of things to talk about inside this car. There's your Harman Kardon stereo system with 9 speakers. There's a great DVD navigation system. On the inside, there is a Bluetooth or a hardwire connect for your mobile phone. A cooler on the inside, and also, let's talk about the back of the vehicle. You can fold that third row of seats completely flat, stow them into the floor, and the second row folds away, which allows you to actually take your cargo cover up 2 rows and then cover the entire back of the vehicle, so you can put stuff in to carry cargo around. Easy to see, easy to drive. Still the stadium-style seating on the second row. This vehicle is definitely an on- and off-road driver's dream.
When it comes to the interior of the LR3, I'm going to point out a couple things that I want to focus on. And by the way, one of them isn't my co-host. It's the use of piano wood, that's the black-looking wood, and the brushed aluminum. It's a beautiful combination. Again, like I've said many times, it's like putting together a great suit. The car itself is the suit, but you have to have the right cufflinks and the right tie clip to really set it off. The other thing I'm going to focus on is this pamphlet right here. It's the free scheduled maintenance pamphlet. For 45,000 miles, Land Rover will actually toss in the general service maintenance that goes with the vehicle. In my book, that's a great value.
We've come to the part of the show when we talk about our 2 ups and 1 down. Of course, it's going to be very easy for me to find ups for the 2008 Land Rover LR3. The first one that we technically got to talk about is that all-terrain response system. It's also all the things that the vehicle can do, the off-road capabilities, how this vehicle can get you out of trouble in snow, ice, and mud. It's really a perfect piece of off-road engineering. But that also gains over into the fact that it's a very good piece of on-road engineering. So many vehicles don't do well on road at high speeds if they're made for off-road, and this vehicle does both. That's the first up. The second up has got to be the metamorphosis of the car and the fact that over 40, 50, 60 years, this vehicle is still one of the #1 off-road vehicles, and they've maintained their position with making such a capable vehicle. My down for the vehicle would be this. I'm finding that they've really put themselves into a niche, Land Rover have, and the fact that this vehicle can top out about $60,000 to $70,000, although this one's a little bit cheaper, really makes this car not affordable for everybody that should have one. And I honestly think that this LR3 should be mandatory for everybody.
Well, I don't know about mandatory for everybody, but definitely if you're in the market for a luxury sport utility, I think it should be and probably is already on your shopping list. But let's get to my 2 ups and 1 down. I'm going to take a couple of interior points that I really think stand out above all the other things this car does so well. The first one is going to be the driving position. Now, a lot of cars have great sport driving positions, maybe even a luxury orientation to the way you sit back in comfort. This has a driving position that fits the character of the vehicle perfectly. You sit up, you feel like in your command, the controls are addressing you perfectly, so it gives you command of the road, if anything, for more than just the feel behind the wheel. The other is going to be the defrost system. Now, the heated windshield certainly helps, but when you push one button, walk away for 5 minutes, you will truly defrost your vehicle, especially in our market, mind you, of everything that's going to keep you from not seeing the other travelers on the road. Now, when it comes to a down, I'm going to start with what I started with in the beginning of the show. Here you got a $50,000 plus sport utility that is luxury branded and one of the most off-road capable vehicles on the planet. The problem and the down is most of them sit in a mall parking lot. That's going to conclude our review of the 2008 Land Rover LR3. The 2008 Land Rover LR3 HSE comes standard with a 4.4-liter, 300 horsepower aluminum V8 and 6-speed electronically controlled automatic transmission. The standard vehicle price is $54,025 with an as-tested price of $57,950. City mile per gallon EPA rating is 12. Highway mile per gallon EPA rating is 17.
The driver's seat is brought to you by Ray Reese Volkswagen. Family owned and specializing in Volkswagens for over 15 years. And proudly presenting the all-new Portland Hyundai. Check them out at rayreese.com.